Hello, hello, and welcome back to Temptations Ballad. We're still, we're trucking along. We're gonna go to the town square. Yeah. Oh, there's no thing. Decorations. That's, okay. Finally, crowdless street. Cole breathed a sigh of relief as he pushed his way into the spacious fountain plaza with a sizzling grilled meat kebab in each hand. Festivals were fun and all, but he preferred his toes untrampled. He had lost track of Sid and Artemi when he hopped off the badger's shoulders to buy some snacks from the food stalls. Just one blink and the crowd swallowed them up like a violent ocean wave. Cole sighed and sat on the edge of the fountain, munching his kebabs absent-mindedly. At least he had the chance to enjoy his food in peace. The three of them had agreed to meet up around the sporting arena for the jousting and brawling tournament later. Finding them again should be simple enough. He just hoped the two of them won't get scammed while he was gone. Cole blinked and glanced around the street. Soul's Arcane Curiosities was just a short walk away. Maybe he should pay Clyde a visit. He shook his head furiously. Nah, he probably doesn't want to see me again anyway. I better avoid making any more trouble than I already have. As he took another bite of his kebab, Cole absent-mindedly rummaged around his pocket. Well, here's that second helping of snacks, second helping of snacks you begged for. You better be grateful, you little... Huh? Noodle, you there? No answer. Huh. The little shit must have sneaked out while I wasn't looking. Ah, well. One less problem for me to deal with. Cole munched on his food as he sat in the middle of the plaza. He became self-consciously aware of how awkward he appeared, sitting all by himself in the middle of a festival. His surroundings felt uncomfortably quiet. The sound of his own chewing was deafening as he shuffled awkwardly in his seat. He glanced around, unsure if anyone was watching him. Cole let out a long sigh. I really shouldn't be left alone with my thoughts like this. Where the fuck did everyone go? He gnawed on the wooden stick of his kebab quietly. I could really use a distraction right now. Nah, it appears my locate creature spell has found its mark. We meet at last. Stand up and face me, you treacherous, ungrateful scum. Okay, maybe not this kind of distraction, Cole thought bitterly as he squinted. A foppish young man was strutting across the plaza towards him. A striped hyena, looking about a year or two older than Cole. His clothes were shiny with expensive woven fabric, and his hair appeared as though he spent hours combing it to perfection. This guy was clearly a noble, and around 5'10", too. And also, he has the most punchable face I've ever seen, Cole quietly noted. As the noble approached, his smug and punchable face fell when he caught sight of Cole. Wait, you're not... I was sure that the spell was working correctly. He crossed his arms with an impatient huff. I should be looking at a dim-witted, one-eyed brute instead of some unwashed peasant. Cole grumbled quietly to himself. Should he even bother talking to this guy? Might as well. Not like he's got anyone else to chat with anyway. Who are you calling an unwashed peasant? The other hyena scoffed. Do you see any other naked scoundrels in rags around here? What kind of preposterous excuse for clothes are you wearing? Cole smirked and adjusted his seating position so that his legs were spread wider. I have nothing to hide. Most folks like what they see. He stared up and down the other hyena with an unimpressed glance. I can see why you were bundled up with a bunch of expensive and frilly nonsense, though. Gotta distract folks from your shortcomings, eh? The noble clutched his chest, utterly offended. Excuse me, I will have you know that I am quite the charmer among my peers. Oh, a noble who actually knows how to have fun. How scandalous. That's not what I mean. The noble crossed his arms and puffed out his chest indignantly. I do not have to answer to a lowly commoner like you. Do you have any idea who you are speaking to? No, but I have a pretty good idea of who you're looking for. What do you want with my papa? Papa? The noble's jaw dropped in a shocked gape. He had children? Yep. Colody Bonebreaker, at your service. Cole bowed comedically, with his meat kebab still in his mouth. What can I do for you, jackass? The noble stared at him for several moments in disbelief. You don't look anything like the Bonebreaker man that grandfather described. He's supposed to be a big hulking barbarian, a beastly warrior who is an utter menace to society. You're just some measly runt. Are you sure you're truly his kin, and not some stray he picked off the side of the street? Cole scowled. The wounds dug under his skin more than he cared to admit. Well, I definitely inherited the menace to society part. So, who are you and what do you want with Morrow Bonebreaker? If you're one of those fanboys begging to be stepped on, Papa does fan meetups every other week. The noble wrinkled his nose at Cole, as though he had smelt something foul. I don't need to explain myself to the likes of you. Now tell me where I can find this Morrow Bonebreaker. I was simply on my way to the jousting tournament, when I found myself in these disgusting and lowly streets. It was a good chance to catch a glimpse of the uncivilized beast en route. Papa doesn't come out to the Firefly Festival. Pompous nobles like you give him an allergic reaction. Their reaction is usually a punch to the face. Well then, he certainly lives up to his barbaric reputation. Cole crossed his arms defensively. Yes, his reputation of being a strong yet kind warrior to his fellow man. Restorer of communities and destroyer of the greedy. I'm pretty sure you've got no right to talk down to him, you pompous little shit. What have you ever done? The noble scoffs and brushes his hair dramatically. You mean you don't know who I am? Surely, you jest. I am the great, Calder... What? Calder? Calder, right? O'Shaughnessy? A sole heir to the renowned House of O'Shaughnessy. My house is known across the land for their great musical prowess. My grandfather has assisted the late King Roderick himself in countless arcane projects and research efforts. My late uncle has worked closely with the church and became an utter prodigy among his magical peers. You will do well to respect your betters, commoner. Cole squinted, unimpressed as the other hyena rambled on in his face. Wowee, what an accomplished family. So, what do you want? The noble froze. A taunting smirk spread across Cole's face. Ah, you've got nothing, do you? If you had something worth mentioning, you would have prattled on about it by now.
I will have you know I have plenty of accomplishments in my name. An unwashed peasant like you wouldn't understand.
No, I think I get it. An accomplished noble arcanist wouldn't be sent to commoner streets like this. You wouldn't even be attending the jousting tournament. You'd be invited to a big fancy party in the noble district right now. But you weren't worth inviting, huh? Calder winced, took a step back. What an accomplished family you've got. There must be a lot of pressure to live up to those magical deeds. But you weren't good enough, were you? So now you're off to the jousting tournament to make a name for yourself. Maybe if you win, you'll finally have something worth bragging about. Do I have the gist of it?
Calder gaped at him for several long moments before clearing his throat. He adjusted his collar distractedly. What a wild imagination you have, commoner. You must think yourself clever.
Cole shrugged. Not really. I'm just warning you, buddy. Going around calling folks unwashed commoners might make you feel a little better, but it sure ain't gonna win you many friends.
And Cole wolfed down the last of his kebab with a sly grin.
Say, word on the street is that a bunch of magical rubies went missing. Rubies that could provide a mage desperate for strength and status with some much-needed power. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?
The other hyena's ears perked with interest before quickly lowering with caution. I have no need for such trinkets. Any accomplishments I achieve will be gained by my own power.
And Cole watched the noble closely. His reactions don't appear to be of recognition or an attempt to hide anything. This guy didn't have the best poker face anyhow. The chances of this Calder secretly being the cloaked mage seemed unlikely, but Cole couldn't say for sure.
Think whatever you'd like, runt. My magical prowess, at its worst, will still be miles above you at best.
I'd sure hope so. I can't even do magic.
The noble blinked in surprise. That can't be right. My arcane senses are keener than most. You most certainly have traces of spellcasting on you. That brute may be an utter disappointment, but I commend the fact that he managed to sire a child with at least a tiny hint of magical potential. Creator knows he certainly didn't have the talent for it himself.
Cole's hackles rose. It sounds like your senses aren't as good as you think. I've never cast a single spell in my life.
His jaw tensed as Calder leaned closer with a curious frown. No, you absolutely have the hallmarks of a spellcaster.
And I'm telling you that you're absolutely wrong.
Calder glared at Cole with a mixture of confusion and frustrated disbelief. His voice shook with agitation. What a bold-faced lie, and a reasonless one at that. Magical strength is the pillar upon which a person's worth is weighed. You were already a lowly peasant. Why do you deny yourself this tiny sliver of value?
Yeah, maybe to a noble. Around here, we put more stock into how not an asshole people are. Which I'm not winning any prize for, but I'm still leagues ahead of you there, buddy.
The other hyena growls and shakes his head in frustration. You don't even understand what you're saying, do you? Magic is everything. Some people devote their entire lives into the arcane studies. Endless days and nights spent meticulously studying arcane tombs in hopes of gaining the smallest scrap of magical strength. The militant beratings and beatings we endure, should we fail to meet expectations. And you, who was born with magic, with a potential for magic, so carelessly discarding your own gifts. This is an insult to everything my family and I stand for.
Calder panted breathlessly, fangs bared with infuriated frustration. Cole glared back at the other hyena coldly. He had certainly hit a sore spot. I don't know what you're rambling about, but let me make this very clear. I am not a mage. Capiche? Calder growled, his shoulders shaking with sheer rage and disbelief.
That man has poisoned your mind, hasn't he? Just because he was a failure of a mage doesn't mean he has to drag the rest of us down with him.
There's not a problem, is there? The two of them suddenly jumped. Oh, okay. Hamish was standing behind Cole, arms crossed with a stern expression. Calder suddenly looked terrified.
You! As I said, is there a problem?
The noble took several steps back. All the aggressive rage instantly evaporated into nervous fear.
No, none whatsoever. Why would I even waste my time quarreling with a low-born folk? And what makes you think you have the right to even speak with me?
Hamish continued staring flatly at the frustrated noble.
There's a bruise on your cheek. Where is it from?
Calder's hand leapt to his face with a surprise.
That's none of your business. I've wasted enough time here with you lot. I'll be taking my leave.
Hamish nodded and bowed curtly.
Very well. Please give
Gaius?
My warmest regards.
Calder looked shocked and hesitated for a moment. After a beat, he quickly fled the plaza without another word. Cole watched the whole exchange with a raised brow. What was that about? Hamish shrugged.
Not much. I just figured I'd step in before you get off more than you could chew.
I can handle myself just fine.
Of course you can. I just wanted to be nosy.
Cole stuck his tongue out. You're always nosy. And speaking of being nosy, how do you know this asshole? Hamish stole a quick glance across the plaza at Calder's retreating figure.
Well, I don't know this young man specifically, but I did work with his for his family for a short time in my youth.
You did? You don't seem like the type that would who'd make nice with nobles. Hamish smirked.
Make nice. The last time I saw Gaius, the man was screaming with an arrow sticking out of his shoulder. Maru is not the only one around here with an allergic reaction to nobles. What? You're looking at me funny.
Nothing. I just realized that I don't really don't know much about you. Hamish shrugged.
You never asked.
Cole scratched his neck and stared at his feet awkwardly. Yeah, I guess not. He cleared his throat loudly. Anyway, what are you doing out here in the Firefly Festival? You never seemed like the celebrating type.
I've been trailing you.
What? Why? Hamish shot Cole a stern look.
The cloaked mage obviously knows you possess one of the missing rubies. If they catch sight of you out in public like this, they might make a move to take it back.
You've been using me as bait?
You made yourself into a piece of bait. I'm merely here to make sure you don't get snatched. Speaking of which, you realize you really shouldn't be traveling alone like this.
No, please. Nobody's going to make a move on me in broad daylight in the middle of a crowded festival.
Hamish shook his head firmly. You'd be surprised what people can pull off, especially if this mage is as strong as you claim. Just promise me that you'll stay with your friends whenever possible. It'll make me worry a little less. Speaking of which,
the hyena rummaged through the many pockets of his cloak. After a beat, he pulled out a spool of metallic wire and handed it to Cole.
Here, I figure you should have this.
Cole squinted at the spool of wire suspiciously. If you're trying to drag me into one of your fishing trips again...
No, it's trap wire made of pure, aether... Yup. It's a metal that conducts magic and spells very effectively. Since you're not exactly an offensive spellcaster, you might find this kind of subterfuge tool useful.
Cole glared between Hamish and the spool. He reluctantly stuffed it into his pocket. You never stop being a mother hen, do you? Well, thanks, I guess. Hamish blinked in surprise.
Who are you, and what have you done with Cole? I don't think I've ever heard you thank me, unsarcastically.
Cole puffed out his chest indignantly. No, this is what I get for being nice for once. Don't expect it anytime soon. With a huff, he back stomping down... He back stomp? Down the plaza.
Hey, where are you going?
To find Artemi and Sid. I'd rather not have you tailing me all day. Go be a motherhead somewhere else. Hamish stared at Cole's retreating figure with an incredulous look.
He actually listened for once. I mean, his attitude's still as foul as ever, but he listened. Morrow, what kind of talk did you give him?
Okay. I'll end the part here, so I'll see you around, everyone.